Hey everybody, July 26th, 2018. It is muggy. It is very hot here in New England. It's the humidity. And we're stuck right now in this what seems like a non-stop cycle of rain showers that last only a few minutes and then go away, and then the sun comes out, and then within an hour or less it's clouded up and the rain's dumping on us again. And it's been like this so long. It's just everything's just got that dank locker room towel feel to it. The basement stays cooler, relatively speaking, for a little while at the beginning of the season, but by now it's got to the point where it's even humid down here, even though the temperature down here is a little less. And the cold water pipes, as soon as cold water run through them, they start to sweat like crazy. But enough about how lousy it feels here. Let's talk about some flea market finds. I finally got a chance to hit a flea market and score some deals a couple of weeks ago, and I just haven't gotten around to putting video together. I've been working on, well, I've been very busy with other things. And when I do have time to work on something, I try and do a little bit of work on the IH350 project. That's that international tractor, utility tractor, for those of you who aren't familiar with all of my ongoing projects, and the MS290 steel chainsaw rebuild project. So those of you who have been following along with that, you probably just saw, if you've been following the steel project, you probably just saw the video where I got the saw back together and actually try and get it to run, and I'm having trouble with that. But I think I've got an idea where to go with that problem, and it's not the trash bin, in case that's what you're thinking. And then the utility 350 tractor, out of excuses as far as to put that steering box back together, I guess. I'm just thinking about maybe using the old Oliver 770 to try and drag that tractor out of the weeds where it is now and get it closer to the house. It's got a front end loader on it, which is what's really the only thing stopping me from doing that. But I figure I might be able to get the front end loader up enough to maybe prop it up, so that we could put some air in the tires and drag that up close to the house. It's going to make life a lot easier for me as far as putting that back together and restarting it. I got a couple other projects that are kind of in limbo. Right now, I'm thinking of going back to the Miller-Matic 250 welder, because that's actually sitting right here on the shop floor, and I think I've got everything I need to put that together and test fire it off and try my hand at a little bit of MIG welding. So I think that's the next logical step. Here comes an interruption, I bet. Kids are out of school for summer vacation, so even when I have a weekday off, it's not really a weekday off. Anyways, you guys tuned in to see a Flea Market Finds episode. This is, I'll tell you right now, this is probably going to be a multi-parter because I got some interesting things and I'm probably going to talk about them longer than you may want me to. But anyways, without further ado, let's jump right into it. So I got there pretty early, and this first vendor who I bought from, he was actually still pulling stuff out of the trailer, and I ended up going back to him 3 or 4 times during the morning or during the day. I think I was out of there by noontime. But when I first got there and went down the line, right away he was like, don't feel shy about making offers or whatever, and there was just all different kinds of stuff. And later in the day when I spoke with him, I found out that essentially what he was doing was cleaning out his own garage. I think he was a commercial electrician by trade, but he had other hobbies and whatnot, so he had all kinds of tools and things, various types of items. And I went through and I didn't see initially too much I was interested in, but then I came across this little grouping of stuff, and I spotted this little DVM. This is a Craftsman. I don't know, who knows who made this for Craftsman. And it's got the little drop the protective case there kind of helps it take a drop. And I turned it on. It's like, oh, son of a gun, it's got a nice, easy to read LCD display. The LCD display looks like it may have taken a hit or something. There's some, when it's off, that should be completely gray, and there's some artifacts over here. But I'm not really too worried about that. It doesn't really affect, the operation of it at all. And, I've got several DVMs. My flukes are probably my go-to meters. But the funny thing is, sometimes I just want to have a meter to just grab quick, down and dirty, and I might not, have the fluke right at my fingertips or whatever. So I was looking at this thing and I was saying, it's actually probably a pretty decent meter. DC volts up to 600, AC volts up to 600, DC current up to 10 amps when you move the lead over to this position over here. It says battery. I'm assuming this is a battery test position here, 1.5 volts and 9 volts. A diode checker with audible beep. And of course the ohm meter. So when I first spotted some of these boxes here, I kind of was hopeful that, hey, it might be something really promising here. But then it was kind of a mixed feeling about it, because the first thing I think I grabbed was this box right here, and I said, oh boy, I know exactly what this is. And those of you guys who watch my channel regularly and have seen my flea market finds in the past, you might even recognize this. But basically this has a very unusual name on the top here, which is probably the supplier or the wholesaler. It's O.ZERNCKOW, Zernikau Company, New York, New York. Case made in Switzerland, and what it is, it's a Jaeger tachometer. Okay, so it's the exact same tachometer that I already own, well, at least one of. And those of you may recall, I had bought another one that was junk, and I bought that one just for parts, I think for the attachments and whatnot. I don't remember the whole story myself even. It's been a while now. But anyway, so the point is, I don't need any more tachometers because I've already got several. And I certainly don't need another Jaeger tachometer. And that's the other thing that's interesting about this. This says it's made in Switzerland, but it still has that strange name on it. Whatever company in New York, Zerkanau. But this is, I'm almost positive this is manufactured by Jaeger, which I think is spelled like Jaeger or something like that. So, anyways. But what's nice is it seems to work. See it? So anyways, and what's also nice is it has the extension rod, the large drive wheel, the cup, another two sizes of cups, a little rubber cone, a metal wedge. These are all attachments so that you can drive this with various off of pulleys, wheels, drive shafts, chucks, all kinds of things. And then it's got not one, but two of these little doohickeys here. That one's got the fine machine oil that they provide with it. And this one has, I believe it or not, this is the eyedropper. Yeah, this is the little dropper with a tiny needle point. And I think this is glass, which is why it's protected in this thing here. So that is, I don't think any of my sets have that sucker. And there's some paperwork. So here's a little, yeah, so see, this is the supplier, clearly, because here's O. Zerkanau Company, 15 Park Row, New York. And then it's got a little thing here with OZ tachometers, speed indicators, and tachoscopes. And there's several different versions here. Okay, and there's a little, please send without cost or obligation full information on. So you would just check off what you want to learn more about, tear it off and mail it to them. Attention superintendent. Let's see what this is. This is the instruction booklet. Hand tachometers. Okay. And this is a list of accessories with prices for the hand tachometers and chronometric tachometers. This is a glass crystal on here. Look at it. You can get a replacement 3-inch glass crystal for $1.25. Yeah. I wonder what year this is. Oh, right here. This price list, January 1970. So the thing is, I got this whole, I was looking through the stuff, I was kind of like, and then he was like, make offers. So next thing you know, I realized, hey, if it's going to be that cheap, if I bundle the stuff. So what I ended up getting was, I ended up getting this whole lot right here for 20 bucks. I got this DVM, this tachometer, and these 3 items here, all for 20 bucks. So let's get to this first. Electric tachometer. I need another one of these, like a hole in the head. Remember, I just said I don't need another tachometer. And I certainly don't need an electric one, because I still have that light reflective electrical tachometer thing I haven't even played around with yet. That's the thing that shoots out, apparently, a beam of light. It reflects off of stickers that you put on whatever the spinning device is. And as it reflects the light back, that creates a pulse, and that is translated into the RPMs. The way you calibrate that is you actually hold it up to a fluorescent light, which the fluorescent light is flashing at a certain frequency, and therefore you're able to actually calibrate the thing by that. But I haven't even tried that thing. It has a very unusual battery in it, I think, and I think it has to be modified before we can get it to work off of regular batteries, modern batteries. So that's just sitting there. So I didn't need another one of these to play with, but again, because it was pretty much, I knew I was going to get it in the bundle so cheap, I decided to throw it in because I thought it was neat. Half the stuff I buy because I think it's neat. So this is an Ideal Industries Incorporated, Sycamore, Illinois. So apparently, from what I can see here, there were 2 models, the 50-001 and the 50-002. And the 50-002 actually has capability to go up to 5,000 RPM. The 001 only went to 2,500 RPM. So this must be the 002, because I noticed it's got a high-low switch, and I can see in the range here that the upper range is to 2,500 and the bottom range is to 5,000. So you must put it in high position and read that bottom range, and you can read up to 5,000 RPM. So this is the Ideal Industries Inc. of Sycamore, Illinois. There is a calibration. I don't know what that is. That looks like a little, oh, okay, that's a little rubber, that's a little leather, end of a leather strap that broke off of something. I wonder if this had a carry strap. Anyways, there's a little calibration certificate at the bottom here, card, okay. And this must have been a calibration that was done when it was manufactured by the looks of it. And it's dated October 25th, 1960. Inspector number 526 or 556 appears to have done this inspection on this thing. 1960. So this RPM gauge, thought I felt something loose in there, maybe not. Anyways, this RPM gauge, wow, 58 years old. That's older than me. let's see if we can figure out how this thing works. All right, so this is interesting. This is just a voltmeter that's calibrated so that this device right here, which is probably either a DC generator or an alternator, outputs voltage through this plug right here. Okay, so you can use this either by directly connecting this onto here, okay, like so, or if necessary, it comes with a plug so you can remotely hold this to another location. It appears like the kit's complete because there's a replacement parts list down here which contains the generator assembly, which is this thing, the connecting cable assembly, which is this, the surface speed wheel, which is right here, the indicator assembly, which is this, and the carrying case, which is this. And then it says pointed rubber tip and mushroom rubber tip. Well, there's a pointed tip on here. There's an extra pointed tip here with a little bit of damage on it. And then there are two, what I guess they were calling the mushroom rubber tips right here. Okay. Two of them. And then there's a hunk of just plain old rubber in here. So I'm thinking maybe somebody made a new tip for this because this doesn't have a hole in it. So I think this is just a scrap piece of rubber from, maybe they were making, I don't know what they were doing. That looks like the original one that goes with this, so I don't know. All right, so let's see if we can't find something to spin this with and see, just for giggles, if this works at all. So interestingly enough, it actually says in the directions here that this can withstand momentary overspeeding up to 4 times the reading on the gauge here. So I'm thinking that means that if you accidentally put this on a 20,000 RPM shaft, just for a moment, and the needle will peg, but that you won't damage the unit. So they say as a precaution, if you don't know what the RPM of the shaft is, they recommend having it in high range, and then if you're not getting enough of a reading, then you could switch it to low. That makes sense. So I've got this industrial screwdriver here. It's not very high RPMs at all. So let's see if this gives us any kind of a reading. So this is, yeah, this is probably not going to be even fast enough to do anything here. What, do I ever get tired of being wrong? I'd say that's just a hair over 900 RPMs is what that's saying. The other thing that is interesting is it says that this thing is, no matter which direction you rotate this in, you don't have to do anything to switch it. It's gonna work. So I just reverse direction, and you can see it still works perfectly fine. That makes me think that this might be a alternator, that this is generating AC. Either that or there's a diode network in here so that when the polarity reverses, it still makes sure that the meter doesn't get reverse polarity and peg the meter in the wrong direction and damage the movement. Yeah, see, there's something in there. That's funny, I didn't hear that before, then it stopped and now it's back. Well, they tell you you're not supposed to open this up, but I'll tell you what. I'm pretty sure whatever's rattling around inside there is probably not supposed to be allowed to do that, so I think we should check it out. Alright, well, I got the 4 screws out. This is recessed into here, so it's going to be a little tricky getting this out. There we go. Alright, let's see. Battery just died on the camera, but I was just saying that it's a little tricky to get this cover off. Well, I can see, here's 2 potentiometers right here, adjustments. That one's marked high and that one's marked low. So there's your calibration. Just a matter of putting a known speed on here and adjusting, these pots so that the readout reads correctly. That couldn't be more simple. We got a big resistor here. Can't quite see how this circuit is wired, but I'm betting these two devices right here are diodes, although they're funky looking. Yeah, I see a diode symbol on the side of this one, and I could see just part of the part number, and it starts with a 1N. So those are diodes. All right, so I'm back to now believing this is a DC generator. And what happens is the DC voltage, if you spin this in the opposite direction, the polarity of the voltage coming out of this is going to change. It's going to flip. But because the diodes are here as blocking, they're only going to allow it to go in one direction. So that's how this is able to continuously keep the meter going in the upward direction, regardless of whether or not the polarity is switched on this. That being said, let's see what's in here. Oh, well, I can tell you what it is right now. Look, there's a nut missing right here. Matter of fact, that's amazing that this was working at all. That's floating. There's the nut. That must have just been touching enough to make this work. I'm going to grab a nut driver. This also talks about that this should not be used in the presence of a strong magnetic field because it will alter, although it won't damage the unit, it will alter the reading. And that makes perfect sense to me because we're dealing with basically a meter that's looking for DC voltage, especially when it's on this lead. If you use this extension lead, if you get any kind of a magnetic field near these wires, it's going to change the reading here for sure. So anyways, let's see. Let's see if tightening that wire changed anything. Shouldn't. No, it's still saying 900 RPM coming out of this thing. So let's do this. Let's grab the Jaeger since it's hanging around. Well, I keep calling this a Jaeger, but it's a Zirkanal. And you know what? I bet you that W is pronounced as a V, as in a lot of the Russian, Slavic, Polish names. So that's probably pronounced the Zernikov, something like that. That's my guess. I apologize if I'm slaughtering that, and that happens to be your surname. So, what do we want? 900 RPMs. Really? Well, man, I'm still kind of surprised that that screwdriver's putting out 900 RPMs. That's 1,000. That's 300 to 1,500. I'm thinking 300 to 1,500 should do it. So this is 300 to 1,500, meaning that when it gets up to that 15, that's 1,500 RPM. So I should be around between this 9 and the 10 here. Yeah, that's kind of bouncing around. I don't think my other one does that. I think there might be something not quite right with this thing. So here are my 3 cases for my, I'm sorry, I apologize. I keep calling these Jaegers. They're Jaquettes, Jaquet. That is the Swiss manufacturer, I believe. This one right here is marked with the, this one's marked with some company called Rigo of Madrid, Spain. I don't remember the story behind this one. That's what's left of it, though. And even though it's marked with a tool manufacturer or distributor, the actual face was, as you can see, made in Switzerland, Jaquette. Okay. This one is working. Notice the case made in Switzerland, same exact place as this one. The cases are identical. This one's got the paperwork also indicating it's Jaquette up here as the manufacturer. Okay. Oddly enough, though, this one is branded Scheer Tomiko. George Scheer, or no, this one's, yeah, Scheer Tomiko. But clearly says Switzerland right below it. And we know that Scheer Tomiko was a U.S. company, so Scheer Tomiko must have been having these branded with their name for resale. This one I know works. I've used this one. Let's see if this one acts silly like that one does. So I'm going to use the same attachment, and we're going to put it on 300 to 1500, same range. Let's see how this one goes. That's how it's supposed to run. (1050 RPM), and you'll notice that needle doesn't bounce. Once it stabilizes, it's rock solid. Very nice. So unfortunately, looks like I've got yet another damaged tachometer in my stable here. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to try this. This seems to be wobbling. I'm wondering if this is bent. Oh, I doubt it. It's not. Luck's not that good. It's probably the shaft. It's damaged. So I can feel a vibration that goes along with that that bouncing of the needle. Tends to indicate to me something is maybe bent. It's interesting. You know, when I use the wheel, that vibration seems to go away. Yet when I use the point or the cup from this set, it doesn't solve the problem, but it doesn't do it on this one. And I also notice when I use this rubber cone that it seems like if I put it at a slight angle, the vibration decreases immensely. It stabilizes a lot. I'm wondering whether or not there's something going on here, if there's a bearing that's worn here, because there's a little bit of side play in this shaft that I can feel. Actually, I feel that in this one though too, so that's not the answer. I don't know if I'm ever going to solve the mystery as to what's going on with this, and I'm not going to try and take it apart because I tried that already, and that's why I have this box of parts. Well, the good news is, last couple of these that sold on eBay, one brought $25 plus shipping, and one brought $29 plus shipping. So even after eBay fees and all that happy horse poop, I should be able to sell this for what I paid for the whole lot, which means the the other trouble tachometer ends up being a freebie, which is good. Oh, but wait, I did get that DVM. But more importantly, I got these two items here. So let's get to these next, because these are cool. They're probably worthless, but I just thought they were cool. They're identical, so I really only needed one, but since it was a grouping thing and he just wanted to get rid of the stuff, I think he practically forced the other one on me. So let me show you what these little slices of heaven are. Alright, so this says the Joseph G. Pollard Company, Incorporated, New Hyde Park, New York. This says surveys Aqua Instruments, Cincinnati, Ohio. So one of these must be the supplier and one of these must be the manufacturer. Top grain cowhide. And then there's an arrow here. North is that way and south, I guess this way. I don't know. So this thing is bizarre. I have not researched this yet at all. So if we take it out of its case, you can see it's got maybe some damage here. But there is something going on here. Actually, that just pops back on. Okay, so that's not really that damaged after all. All right. But what we've got here is we've got something. We've got a needle that's balanced in some way that appears to be creating some sort of a... It must be reacting to the magnetic poles of the planet. So if we look down through the top here, this is a window. And it looks like we're looking at the dial, but we're actually looking at a mirror that's mounted in here at a 45-degree angle, because this compass, for lack of a better term, is mounted vertically. And so I think for proper operation, you're supposed to hold it vertical like this, but to make it easier to read, you look down at the mirror and you can actually read what it says. So this says Aqua Survey and Instrument Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. It's got a patent on here. It says north, south, 2 arrows, and then it actually has numbers. It's a number scale. Starts over on the left at 70, goes up to about 90, and then goes back down. So that, I think that's degrees maybe. I'm not sure. So the guy said he's not sure what they are, but he said somebody tried to tell him that this was used for finding underground water pipes. That this was some sort of a device that would have been used back in the day to help locate a water pipe underground for the purpose of digging it up, I guess, for repairs or whatnot. Does that make sense to anybody? Well, of course, we're going to do the old Google shuffle here in a moment. Let's check out and see if this is the same. It's the same device, but let me just see if it's the same manufacturer and everything. So this one here, no markings on the inside of the cover on this one. This one does not want to come out of its dirty little hole. It sure appears to be the same manufacturer. In fact, I can't get it out of the case here, but this one, yeah, this is definitely Aqua Survey and Instrument Company, Inc. So that must be the manufacturer. Aqua Survey and Instrument Company. This one says Aqua Survey and Instrument Company, Cincinnati, Ohio, or CO. This one says CO. Inc. So this one, same company, but probably made. Maybe this was before they incorporated and this was after they incorporated. I don't know. It's funny. I went to eBay first because I was dying to see what they were worth. There are a couple of them listed right now. This looks like the guts to one for $6. This one is a vintage Joseph Pollard Company Aqua Survey for $40 or best offer, free shipping. Results with fewer words, and then you get down here, and then you get into the whole explanation of people just, I think, guessing it as to what this thing is. This one, they're calling it a company. This one, they're saying it's a compass. This one says magnetic locator. Okay, so that might be compass of some type. That would probably be a good. That's probably a fair description. Magnetic locator. Okay, there's a second person calling it a magnetic locator, so I think we're getting somewhere now. This is my favorite down here, though. This guy wants $50 for his because he's calling it a vintage nautical sailing compass. I think he might not be correct on that. It's the survey part that makes me think no, that this is not a nautical sailing compass. But I do believe that it is some sort of a device for sensing something underground. Now, magnetic fields, of course, wires, cables, right, with power going through them. But it's got the Aqua Survey name, so that makes you think, again, the water. Let's see what happens. Let's see if I hold this. Oh, that's really cool. See if I can show this. This screwdriver has a little bit of a magnetic property to the tip. So I can't even get near this thing with the screwdriver without going crazy. All right, so I got it on the bench, and I've got it, I'm looking straight down at it, and you can see it's reading like between 75 and 80. Now watch that needle. See how it's moving a little bit? And what's neat is I've got this mag base from an old antenna that I keep here in the shop. And that's probably 1.5 to 2 feet away. And just moving that around is causing that needle to fluctuate. Matter of fact, it's making the other one's going even more crazy. It's the movement of the magnet back and forth that's really gets these things spinning. That one seems to be more responsive. I wonder if it's just because of the position of it. I put this one in the same location. Yep, that's what it is. Changing the location. I'm just waving this magnet around below it here, and it's spinning it like a windmill. Well, I just checked on eBay under sold auctions to see if I can get a better idea of the value of these things, and unfortunately, there's not much value. One sold for $18 shipping, and no, $18 plus $7.65 shipping, and then interestingly enough, another one sold for $3.20, $16 shipping. So that's still 19. I mean, 15 to 25 bucks shipped is what it looks like these could bring. But the interesting thing about the sold ones is 2 of these sold ones both are referring to this as what's called a dip needle compass. Well, it was invented back in, it was patented like in the mid-1950s. It was invented by a guy who worked for municipal services in a city and had to go and find pipes all the time. And apparently he used the technology of a dip needle and put it into this special package. It's got a couple of things going on. It's got dampening to keep the needle from spinning violently whenever it's moved. And also it's got, of course, the mirror so that it can be read, because traditional dip needles are vertical. So essentially what he did was he took a dip needle, he put it in a box, he put a mirror on it so you can read it from the looking straight down from the top as you're walking or standing. Okay, and then he also added some sort of dampening to the needle so that it doesn't go crazy like that too much. I guess it would do that a lot more if it wasn't for the whatever dampening is inside this thing. But I think the coolest thing is that they still sell. There's a website. They still sell them. They're $284 without the case, brand new. But there's testimonials in here from people who say that they've used these for years and that it's a very reliable. You know, they talk about how it's got no software, so no bugs or viruses to worry about. I mean, it's a very simple machine. So that's kind of neat, you know. Well, how about that? How do you like them apples? There's a picture of a new one, and it doesn't look very different than this one. All right, so then I moved down the line, and I came across a vendor, and I spotted these 2 indicators. And my first thought was, well, I don't need any more drop indicators of this style. I need them like a hole in the head, quite frankly. And I was going to pass on them because I figured, A, they were going to be probably more money than I wanted to spend. Considering that I really don't need them. I just got rid of a bunch of surplus indicators. So, you know, I kind of thinned the herd, so to speak. So I was going to mosey along because I asked if he had any other machinist items. I think he might have been the vendor that I found. He had a Kennedy machinist toolbox, and there was quite a few items in there that were of interest to me. And I started to go through it, and he informed me that he was selling the box with the contents. And he wanted $200 for the box with the contents. I looked through it. There wasn't enough stuff in there to make it worth $200 to me. So I said, well, I'll stop by later in the day, and if he changes his mind about possibly selling stuff out of there. And he said, I don't think I'm going to. He said that it was his father or his grandfather's toolbox, and that's the way that he brought it to the show because the guy wanted him to sell it for him, and that's the way he wanted him to sell it. So I never did end up stopping back by there. I don't remember whether or not he maybe sold it for all I knew, and I didn't see it again or whatever. But I wasn't going to ask about these, and then I spotted this box, and then I looked on the side, and it said it's a Taco SR502-2 switching relay 2-zone. And what this is, if you're an HVAC guy, this is a switching box for if you have multiple zones on your boiler. So these can be handy for several different things. I actually had to buy one of these for here at the house, and I actually I bought a different model, but I know that these aren't cheap. And I looked at it and I realized this is absolutely brand new. This is completely unused. None of the knockouts have been removed. That's the dead giveaway. So I was like, wow, brand new in the box. And I said, well, what are you going to get for that? And he says, I forgot what he hit me for a price initially. But then I said, well, maybe we'll do a little horse trade. I said, how about $20 for this and these 2 indicators? And he agreed to that. So I ended up getting this. I figure I'm into this for $10. Which they still sell them today. They run about $125, $130 online. The last one of these that sold on eBay that was new other, which is probably an open box unit, sold for $50 plus shipping. So that's a no-brainer. I'll probably pop that off on eBay. And then we've got the 2 gauges. This one, the crystal's kind of not so great on it, but it seems to work perfectly fine. It's a Mitutoyo. It's a thousandths indicator. It's a 2410-10 jeweled shockproof indicator. And it's actually, it's engraved with somebody's name there. But I mean, that's I'm into that for $5, I figure. That's probably a $15 indicator to the right person. This one here is the old Standard Gauge Company. I had one of these I already got rid of. And again, I normally wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole, but what I liked about it was I liked this base that's on here. And this base, also engraved, but this base is marked, it's a Model 14 Standard Gauge Company base. But I betcha that I could take this off and put it on another indicator if I wanted to. So if I want another, I think I have a couple of these, but if I wanted another one of these, that's kind of nice. So I wasn't able to find one of these that sold recently, so, I don't know. And it's a number 221 indicator. I don't remember if the last one of these I had, I don't remember if I ended up selling it or not. But anyways, I'm not going to get hurt paying $20 for this lot.